Action figures are great!
Welcome to the newest edition of T&I News with your host, JC. Hello, you action figure enthusiasts out there. JC here, and I'm coming at you from San Diego Comic-Con. And earlier today, I was able to catch up with Hasbro's G.I. Joe Classified brand team member, Lenny. And we did a quick interview. I asked him about the new Cobra Rattler Haslab that launched also this weekend at San Diego Comic-Con. And then just also some questions about Haslabs in general in regards to G.I. Joe Classified. And finally, I asked him if it was even something that was possible or something they'd like to do in regards to bringing in real-life people to the G.I. Joe Classified line. Meaning, back in the day, Hasbro did characters like Refrigerator Perry. They've brought Roddy Piper into G.I. Joe. And even at one point, they almost brought Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa into G.I. Joe. In fact, the Big Boa character was meant to be Rocky Balboa's arch nemesis. So I asked him if any of those characters are something that we might one day see in the Classified line. So I hope you enjoy this interview. Like the video if you're so inclined, and if you're coming in new to the channel, please think about hitting that subscribe button. And again, I hope you enjoy this interview. So how's it going, Lenny?
It's going great. The convention's been super fun. A lot of cool fans coming around, just chit-chatting about what we're making. A lot of awesome stuff this year around the convention, and it's been good.
Nice. So I got to say, I've been all around. I've seen what pretty much everybody has out, and definitely you guys have stolen the show with your newest Haslab, the Cobra Rattler.
Yeah, it's
honestly, I mean, this is the first time seeing the Dragonfly in person myself, and like the pictures don't really do it justice. So.
It's wild. Like when we, as a designer, you draw stuff out, and you work with your sculpting team to like realize it. You're still seeing things in 3D or in 2D form. But the second we like start getting it in hand, it's like starting to come to life. And it's like, yeah, images are great, but like once you have a toy in hand, that's when it's like, oh, this is gonna work. And that's what happened to Dragonfly. We got excited about it, but once you get to that model phase, it's like it's magic.
So that kind of brings me to my next question. So when you're planning these things out, like did you know you were gonna do the Rattler when this was already?
No. So normally what we do is we'll do like focus groups, and we have like a series of questions, and we kind of probe the focus groups to see what they would want, and then we kind of like strategize from there. So it's not like do exactly what the focus group is saying. It's learn from the focus group so that you could plan for future, right? Essentially. So some of the things we saw rising to the top year over year are the Rattler, the Dragonfly, the Hiss Tank, stuff like that. So, you start to kind of read the tea leaves, and you're like, gotta make a Rattler. You know what I mean? So around that time, we were seeing the things go into that direction. We weren't set, but it was like, and John and I were both like, we gotta make a Rattler. And then when we get that kind of that kind of data in, we're like, oh yeah.
With the Rattler, I mean, I gotta say, there are some minor changes, but this is very reminiscent of the original Cobra Rattler. Yeah. So when you're going and designing this, is your goal to stick to the original design and just size it up as much as possible?
No, not exactly. So actually the designer on the Rattler itself was Aton. I worked on the figures, so we work in conjunction together. But something that I was focused on with the Rattler is Classified is a zhuzh, if you will, or like a sprucing, if you will. On some characters, we push like crazy. We really kind of break the spectrum a little bit, but we try to keep the essence of a character, what their role is. In the case of the Rattler, we wanted to keep something that was so iconic and dear to a lot of fans' hearts. At the same time, we wanted to zhuzh it as we do. So if you look at the cockpit itself, it's less bulbous, it's more sleeked out. The wings are a little chunkier, a little heavier. Even the engines are not sci-fi engines. They're actual engines to real jets. So we do stuff like that. And on an item like this that we know is so intense and near and dear, we did try to keep it a little closer, for sure. That's why it is very reminiscent. But when you look at the details, you'll see that there is some streamlining and some modernization, if you will, just in the fact that we can mold that now. The original had a giant cockpit. That's so you can fit figures in, right? So we're able to account for that now because it's so big.
Now, are we ever going to see, like, obviously there's a lot of nostalgia is involved with this line.
Yeah.
So I understand doing all the old stuff, making it new again.
Yeah.
But especially you as a designer, do you hope one day to see where you're creating new vehicles?
100%. That's part of our goal, and it's just a matter of kind of like getting to the things we have to get to, and then putting new things in where they're needed. Essentially, right? The Twilight Guard is technically a new character. The Mole Rats are technically new characters. So we definitely want to do it. Definitely want to do new Joes. We want to do Joes that were obscure, like Shooter. Right? We want to get characters in there that didn't get a lot of limelight, but should. Right? So, 100%. As a kid, all I would do is draw G.I. Joes. All I would do is kit bash my Joes. I'd, unscrew them as a lot of people did. I think we definitely want to get there. I can't wait to get there. Hopefully you guys want to go on that journey with us.
Now, with the Haslab model, obviously the main idea behind it is doing stuff that you really would never have any chance of getting at any kind of retail.
Essentially.
So obviously that usually incorporates very large size vehicles.
Yeah.
And you've been doing a lot more smaller size vehicles released at general release. We just got the Claw announcement. At JoeCon, which is one of my favorite vehicles.
Claw's rad. It's such a crazy vehicle. Do you think about it?
But where do you draw the line? Or if you could talk about how, when you're deciding which vehicles, how do you go, okay, this size vehicle is definitely retail, but anything above that size would have to be like a Haslab.
It's pricing, right? So it's like you don't want to make something that's not attainable for somebody, right? But you still want to make something that's high quality. So the vamp was a really good study to how to make something high quality at a fair price. That people could still get, right? So to determine that, it's like, look, how big would it be? What are the parts that needs to be made? What's the engineering going to look like? Stuff like that. So it's like, look at the scale. How you going to get that in a box? So it's kind of more like feeling it out. I would say I don't really draw the line anywhere. It's kind of like we look at it.
Well, not drawing the line, not doing it, but what's the kind of pushes it over into this? If we do this, it's going to have to be a Haslab as opposed to.
I would definitely say size and price point.
Okay,
for sure.
Because like the vamp you mentioned, another thing that probably helps you is you can, like, we're getting the Cobra Stinger, so that's using a lot of the same parts, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe a Vamp Mark II is something you probably thought
that.
about.
Yeah.
So you can use it multiple times.
Yeah, that plays into account too. I mean, it's action figures, right? Like, it's kind of part of the formula a little bit. So it's like, how could you make something that then you could utilize later and still make it desirable, essentially, too. So that plays a part into it. For me, I want to try to do as many unique things as possible and, like, really push where we're going. I just want to see what we can make. So, like, going back to where I draw the line, it's like, we don't want it. It's like, what can we get? You know what I mean? How can we make this 1/12th universe crazier,
All right, last Haslab question.
Yeah.
Throwing money, anything, if Hasbro brought, if like the upper management at Hasbro brought you and said, we're going to let you pick whatever you want, price, money, no matter what. You pick the next Haslab. What vehicle would you pick?
Oh, man. I don't want to answer because that might telegraph. I know that's lame, but I could tell, what if it happens? You know what I mean?
They're adding tiers to
What's your favorite G.I. Joe vehicle?
For me, as a kid, I'll never forget, my brother and I found where the Christmas presents were, because we would get a big G.I. Joe vehicle every Christmas. That's basically what my parents would do for us. And we found the Night Raven. And I remember my dad's a big burly guy. My mom's like, they found it! They found it! My dad's like, let them have it. So he gave it to us like 3 or 4 days before Christmas.
Nice.
And the Night Raven holds a really special place in my heart. I love the Night Raven. This is so cool looking. You know what I mean? So the Night Raven, I think, is my favorite vehicle.
Nice. My very first G.I. Joe, I don't know vehicle. What was the snake armor?
Snake armor is awesome.
I found
yeah, you call it a vehicle. You call it a vehicle.
I found, and so I got Grunt was my very first G.I. Joe figure.
Awesome. That's a perfect G.I. Joe to get his first G.I. Joe. Yeah.
And then the snake armor. So those have like a sentimental value just for that reason.
Dude, snake armor. I actually I have it sitting on my desk. I have this little one, and I love the internals of the snake armor with that like weird rubber batting inside there to hold it together. It's like old dangly. And like it's awesome. It's an awesome little toy.
Like I found myself drooling like the Super 7 Super Cyborg one. I'm like, oh my god, if they just shrink it down.
I have one of those too.
All right, so last question. This comes up a lot. It's in regards to characters that are based on that you have back in the day have been brought into G.I. Joe based on live action people.
Yeah.
So obviously Sergeant Slaughter was the kind of first for that. But I often get Refrigerator Perry.
He was awesome.
He was awesome. Roddy Piper, which was a JoeCon exclusive, but you guys brought it in. And then one that was going to be in the line, but then got pulled at the last minute, and we actually got his arch nemesis, Big Boa, but Rocky Balboa.
That would have been epic, that one.
I remember having the Marvel Universe, G.I. Joe Universe comic, and like he was actually listed in that comic as a G.I. Joe character. It's the only time.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yes, so, and it was like, and then he never materialized. It wasn't until years later that I...
That's business, you know? I think we're definitely interested in that stuff, you know? It's just, that's a lot of business, and it's a lot of marketing, it's a lot of stuff that goes beyond what I'm doing, right? So we definitely would be very interested in doing stuff like that.
Very nice. All right, well, that wraps it up here from San Diego Comic-Con. I want to thank Lenny for taking the time to talk with us. A lot of exciting things for G.I. Joe Classified coming, and I'm sure there's a ton more that we have not even seen yet. Are we going to see anything good at PulseCon?
Yeah.
Actually, one quick question. What happened to Nemesis Enforcer? You showed us the packaging, but I noticed he wasn't
Nemesis
here.
Immortal? Not sure. It wasn't on the sharing list. You know, I think we have a lot of shows, a lot of conventions, and a lot of updates. So I think it just wasn't being planned to be updated here. Maybe some plans changed, as you know. Plans change. Whatever you're doing, work or whatever.
Might we see it in September at PulseCon?
Much, hopefully.
All right, well, that's it from here. Until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching today's video. Now, if you're new to the channel, please think about hitting that subscribe button. Also, hit the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. For all the latest action figure news, be sure to head over to ToyNewsEye.com, MarvelousNews.com, JediInsider.com, and TFormers.com. And remember, action figures are great,